today I will speak about the challenges that companies might face when choosing the appropriate software vendor, and also what kind of problems there might happen when choosing a storage solution for our target product. First of all, a few words about our company. We are committed to quality. We are ISO 9001 certified. ISO 27001 is coming. We have knowledge about ISO 26262 and ASPICE. We are a software vendor company focusing on storage, transferring storage and storing data as well. Keeping performance and reliability in focus, also committed to for performance and also longevity of data. We have locations all over the world. We have engineering offices in Seattle, in Helsinki, and in Budapest, and all around the world we have sales locations and representatives as well. And our highly qualified representative in India is Meteonic Innovation. So we have 8 new devices, according to our calculations, released every second on the market with Tuxera software inside. Let's talk about our topic today. So how to choose software, who is going to supply software, what kind of problems we might have with storing data. The problem is that there are today in modern vehicles about 150 million lines of code. This is an incredible amount of code, and actually the complexity is just increasing. And with SDV in place by the middle of next decade, according to some estimations, there will be about 1 billion lines of code. I mean, this is an incredible amount. How to minimize the risk of bugs with that amount of code, how to validate correct operation. And also, in SDV, the dynamicity of software configuration is a key topic. Car makers today end up having around 50 statically defined separate configured binaries, and these binaries all need to be verified and validated. And that's the reason why these are statically configured, because that makes it straightforward to validate correctly. According to some estimations with SDV, if this trend continues, there might be about 1,000 different configurations. This is certainly not sustainable. So how to choose software? First of all, we need to identify what we want to do. Next to that, we need to define what kind of quality level we need to reach, whether it should be QM or ASIL A, ASIL B, ASIL C, or D for ISO 26262. So what kind of challenges we have when choosing the software? I mean, we cannot develop everything from scratch because otherwise it would take several decades we get the next vehicle on the roads. Or that it needs to be reusable, it needs to be reliable and maintainable. So where to get software from? We can get it from a supplier. It could be either an internal or external supplier. We can decide to develop it from scratch, or we can reuse existing software or modify, adapt that to our needs. Or we can go to commercial off-the-shelf solution. I often hear the sentence that, well, this is mature enough, we can use this mature product because it's been tested by the community. But is it really the case? I mean, community is only checking a major subset of the features, but corner cases and maybe not all features are verified. I remember several years ago, I was sitting in a room and we received a support email complaining about one of our fail-safe file systems not being fail-safe. Well, as an engineer, I think our immediate reaction was, no, this is not our problem. This is certainly the customer's problem. But then, of course, deeply inside, we knew this is our issue, and we analyzed, we found the problem, and then we fixed the problem. But what kind of question marks, what kind of lessons can we learn from that? It seems like, again, with the community being in place, having this software out there for hundreds of customers and 8 years on the market, I mean, we could not justify, we could not find why it worked, why it didn't work, why we couldn't find this problem, or nobody found this problem before. But most likely it was found, just nobody reported, because as we do, I don't know, on a weekly basis, and our PCs are crashing, we just reboot and don't complain, don't file any support requests to anybody. So mature software is not necessarily reliable. Another way of obtaining software is via using open source. It's good, often it's quite useful because it's reusable, it's maintained by the community, Well, and now is it reliable because it's mature enough? That's a good question. However, frequently risks are overlooked because the fact that the community maintains certain components doesn't mean there is a big team behind that. We often have seen, especially in the Flash domain, that there are only very few engineers maintaining that software on the worldwide, which actually increases or poses a lot of risks. So with open source, of course, quality cannot be guaranteed. Therefore, whatever we integrate there, those components does not need to or cannot be really meet high quality standards. So one other request we have seen in the past is that one customer approached us and asked, okay, do you have a file system which is fail-safe for Linux? And we said, yes, of course. And they said, yeah, but it needs to be running in the user space. And we asked, well, why is that? The answer to that was that simply because the kernel space is mature and everything that we put to kernel space is increasing the risk. Well, again, maturity, is it reliability? We have a file system that has been there out on the market and now, of course, meeting higher qualities, very thoroughly tested with hundreds of thousands of different test cases. There are other risks when choosing softwares because software can destroy hardware. So think about when we write to a UFS device or an eMMC chip. Well, what's the path of the data? First of all, we have the application layer writing to the file system. Then there is the file system. And then there is a flash management layer. And underneath the bottom, there is a NAND flash. Now, each of these layers, if one of these layers is not designed correctly or not working correctly, then the whole thing is going to fall apart, degrading the flash way before time and, well, causing troubles. One of these typical examples is what one of the famous electric vehicles manufacturers had quite some years ago. They were using an eMMC chip, they were using a file system, and then the application layer on top was not really working properly and thoroughly, was not designed. So how Tuxera can help? We have the expertise in-house for ISO 26262 development, to develop every component according to quality, high quality standards. But this would not worth anything without the expertise, without the decades of expertise we have in storing data and transferring data, and also the expertise we accumulated with the different NAND flashes and NOR flash technologies. Let's dive a little bit into the flash management layer and also into the file systems and the application level. So what is the responsibility of the flash management layer? A flash management layer needs to convert the read-write granularity required by the file system to the read-write and erase granularity offered by the raw NAND flash. Now, the other thing is that these flashes have limited amount of erase program cycles, so it is very important to evenly balance the load on the whole flash. So having this in mind, the flash management layer needs to be fail-safe. Shall never lose data, whatever happens, it needs to recover to a consistent state. And preferably, this is done without a capacitor because a lot of vendors are claiming that, okay, you need to install a capacitor in there, which is going to guarantee a certain amount of time after the power fails to be able to finish the last programming cycle. So, well, in automotive, this is a problem because capacitors are degrading, and especially in vehicles that are exposed to heat, this is a real risk. Next to that, it shall guarantee maximum lifetime, of course, because there is a limited amount of erase program cycles. The wear leveling is a very important aspect. It should minimize the amount of erase program cycles as well. And during normal operation, there are different things that needs to be taken into account when implementing a proper flash management layer. So, for instance, if an area on the flash is written and it's never touched again, another part is written on the media, then this erase or programs might have an impact on the previously written data, which is going to make it inconsistent. This needs to be taken into account. Of course, similar to file systems, here there is a risk of performance degradation. So initially, after low-level formatting, the NAND flash, it might be very quick, very fast, but later on it might turn out that it slows down. This is not acceptable. And of course, one needs to be aware of all the details. One needs to understand the different tricks and features of the target raw NAND or NOR flashes. So for instance, there are some NAND flashes that requires a whole area to be programmed before erasing that. or there are some other no flashes where if the data is erased and is interrupted, that might have an impact on another area that was previously written and should not be impacted at all, but it is. So this is the flash management layer. Now moving to the file system layer, which operates on top of a block device, where the block device could be a UFS device or an eMMC chip or an SD card, or actually a raw NAND flash with perhaps using our flash management layer. So this file system should also be fail-safe. It should guarantee that the metadata and the user data is always atomically managed. There is no loss of data. And whatever happens, there is a power failure, the file system can go back and provide data that was previously written there as part of the files. It shall also guarantee maximum lifetime. Maximum lifetime can be guaranteed by keeping the write amplification to the absolute minimum. So the more often we write to the media, the earlier it's going to degrade. So, and it should also be kept in mind that it should serve different use cases. It should be able to serve small files, database type applications with random reads, writes from the file, but also be able to serve situations where large video files are recorded and there is a huge performance required because there is a huge amount of data. It shall mount fast. If there is a power failure in most of the applications, this information needs to be accessed very quickly. So whatever happens, it should mount fast. It shall not suffer from performance degradation over time. So actually, this is the typical file system problem that the more we write to it, the more we the more the files we delete, the more fragmented the system is going to be, leading to performance degradation. It should be able to integrate with any multiple operating systems, which we can guarantee. It works with Linux, with QNX, it works with VxWorks, with SafeRTOS, with OSEC, and many other operating systems as well. So the application layer is also a very important part because here the user needs to thoroughly design, thoroughly understand how to use the data. This is where we are also able to help our customers. And as a conclusion, it is very important to understand that the combination of these different layers, the application layer, the file system layer, and the flash management layer, which is the key to success. And when considering these kind of storage options, it's the best to contact one single supplier to be able to analyze all the details and help to design the different usage profiles as well. With which I'm closely reaching the end of this presentation. On this slide, you can see the different components that Tuxera is able to provide. So we are professionals in bootloaders, in cryptographic algorithms. We have the networking, IPv4, IPv6 stacks that we can offer to our customers, and all the security components, TLS 1.2, 1.3, DTLS 1.2. And we have all these different type of file systems that are able to run directly on top of a raw NAND flash, NOR flash, or top of a block device. It is interoperable, non-interoperable. All of these have their own advantages, and depending on the use case, we can propose the best solution to your needs. So with which I would like to thank you very much for your attention. And if you are interested in our products, please go to tuxera.com, or if you want a demo of any of our products, just visit meteonic.com. Thank you very much.